There is a quiet truth about women, a truth most men never fully understand. A woman does not experience intimacy the way a man does. For many men, desire begins in the body. But for a woman, desire begins somewhere deeper. It begins in her mind, in the way a man looks at her, in the way he speaks to her, in the subtle emotion atmosphere he creates long before the moment of intimacy ever arrives. And when a man does not understand this difference, he unknowingly makes mistakes. Mistakes that slowly disconnect her from the experience. Mistakes that turn what could be passion into something mechanical, something rushed, something that feels incomplete. Not because she does not feel attraction, not because she does not want him, but because the emotional connection that fuels her desire has not been awakened. Tonight we are going to explore the 9 major mistakes men make when making love to a woman. Mistakes that most men repeat without realizing it. Mistakes that silently weaken attraction and intimacy. And when you understand these mistakes, something begins to change. Because intimacy is not about technique, it is about awareness. It is about emotional intelligence. It is about understanding the psychology of connection. And the first mistake many men make is rushing. Rushing is one of the fastest ways to disconnect a woman from the moment. Many men approach intimacy like a destination. They focus on getting somewhere, on reaching a certain point, on finishing the experience quickly. But to a woman, intimacy is not about the destination. It is about the journey, the emotional build up, the anticipation, the slow unfolding of attraction. When a man rushes through those moments, he skips the very things that awaken her desire: eye contact, gentle touch, playful tension, emotional warmth. Those small details may seem insignificant to some men, but to a woman they are everything, because her mind needs time to transition into intimacy. Her thoughts must quiet. Her emotions must feel safe, her body must feel relaxed, and that transition cannot be forced, it must be invited. A man who understands this does not rush. He allows the moment to breathe. He allows anticipation to build naturally. And when anticipation builds, desire becomes stronger. The second mistake men make is ignoring emotional connection. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of female attraction. A woman's body responds to what her heart feels. If she feels admired, her confidence grows. If she feels valued, her emotional walls soften. If she feels safe, her natural desire awakens. But when intimacy happens without emotional warmth, something inside her disconnects. It begins to feel empty, like the moment is missing meaning. Many women struggle to explain this feeling. They simply say, "It didn't feel special." A man who understands women knows something important. Foreplay does not begin in the bedroom. It begins long before that, sometimes hours earlier, sometimes days earlier. It begins in the way you speak to her, the way you notice small details about her, the way you make her feel beautiful, desired, appreciated. Those emotional signals stay in her mind. And when the moment of intimacy arrives, her body remembers how you made her feel. The third mistake men make is becoming too focused on themselves. Sometimes a man becomes so absorbed in his own excitement, his own expectations, his own experience, so that he forgets something very important. True intimacy is shared. It is not something one person takes, it is something two people create together, and that requires awareness, the ability to notice her reactions, her breathing, the subtle expressions on her face, the way her energy shifts. When a man becomes attentive in this way, he creates emotional safety. And emotional safety allows a woman to open herself more deeply. Presence is powerful. When a woman feels that a man is truly present with her, not distracted, not rushing, not thinking about something else, she feels valued, she feels important. And that feeling strengthens the connection between them. The fourth mistake men make is underestimating the importance of confidence. Confidence has a very specific meaning in attraction. It is not arrogance, it is not control, it is not ego. True confidence is calm energy, grounded presence, the quiet certainty in the way a man carries himself. When a man feels insecure or anxious, the emotional atmosphere changes. The moment begins to feel tense. But when a man carries calm confidence, the entire experience becomes more relaxed. His presence reassures her, it allows her to trust the moment. And when a woman feels that calm masculine energy, she naturally becomes more open and responsive. The fifth mistake men make is neglecting affection. Affection is one of the most underestimated elements of intimacy. Some men believe that intimacy is purely physical. But for a woman, affection is emotional communication. It is the gentle touch that says, I care about you. It is the moment of closeness where nothing is rushed. It is the warmth of being held without expectation. These small gestures create emotional depth. Without affection, intimacy can begin to feel mechanical, but with affection, it becomes meaningful. The sixth mistake men make is failing to understand her comfort. Every woman is different. Every personality is different. Every relationship has its own emotional rhythm. A thoughtful man pays attention to this. He observes, he listens, he adapts. He understands that connection cannot be forced. It must develop naturally between two people. When a woman feels that her comfort matters, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, emotional closeness becomes possible. The seventh mistake men make is ignoring communication. Communication does not have to be complicated. Sometimes it is simply asking how she feels. Sometimes it is reading her reactions. Sometimes it is adjusting naturally based on the moment. Women deeply value emotional intelligence in a man who understands how to communicate without pressure, without ego, without defensiveness, because communication builds trust. And trust is one of the strongest foundations of attraction. The eighth mistake men make is allowing intimacy to become routine. Routine slowly removes the excitement from any relationship. When moments feel predictable, mechanical, automatic, the emotional spark begins to fade. But when a man brings presence and curiosity into the moment, something changes. The experience becomes alive again, unexpected, meaningful, memorable. And the ninth mistake men make is forgetting what intimacy truly means. Intimacy is not simply physical closeness. It is emotional closeness. It is the feeling of being understood, of being appreciated, of being desired in a way that feels genuine. When a woman experiences that level of connection, the entire moment becomes deeper, more powerful, more unforgettable, because what she remembers most is not the action, it is the feeling of being truly wanted, truly valued, truly connected. And when a man understands this truth, everything begins to change. His presence becomes stronger, his relationships become deeper. And the women in his life experience something very few men know how to create: real emotional intimacy. But there is something even deeper that many men still do not realize. Something that quietly shapes the way a woman experiences closeness. Something that determines whether she feels distant or deeply connected. And that is what we are about to explore next. Because the psychology of female desire is far more subtle than most men imagine. Many men believe attraction is simple. They believe it is mostly physical. They believe if a woman is attracted to them, the rest will happen naturally. But the truth is much deeper than that. A woman's desire is influenced by atmosphere, by emotional signals, by the way a man makes her feel when she is around him. And sometimes the smallest behaviors can completely change how she experiences intimacy. A careless word, a rushed moment, a lack of emotional presence. These things may seem small to a man, but to a woman they can quietly weaken the connection. This is why emotional awareness is so powerful. When a man learns to notice these details, he begins to understand something most men never learn. Intimacy is not created in a single moment. It is created gradually, through a series of emotional signals, each moment building upon the one before it. And when those signals are missing, the experience begins to feel incomplete. Let's talk about something many women quietly wish men understood: the importance of emotional anticipation. Anticipation is one of the most powerful elements of attraction. It is the subtle tension that exists before something happens, the excitement of not knowing exactly what comes next. The quiet electricity that builds between two people when the moment is allowed to unfold slowly. When anticipation exists, the emotional experience becomes richer, more exciting, more memorable. But when a man rushes through the moment, anticipation disappears. And without anticipation, much of the emotional intensity disappears with it. A woman enjoys the feeling of emotional build-up. The playful tension of knowing something meaningful is about to happen. That tension is not created through speed. It is created through presence, through patience, through allowing the connection to grow naturally. Another mistake men often make is forgetting the power of attention. Attention is one of the most valuable emotional gifts you can give someone. When a woman feels that a man is genuinely paying attention to her, she feels important. Not just physically, but emotionally, she feels noticed, seen, valued. And this is where many men unintentionally disconnect from the moment. Their mind begins to wander, they become distracted, they begin thinking about performance instead of connection. But the most attractive thing a man can offer a woman is presence. The ability to be fully there with her, not distracted by the past, not anxious about the future, just present in the moment. When a woman senses that presence, something changes inside her, she relaxes, her mind quiets, and the emotional connection deepens. Another detail many men overlook is emotional reassurance. Even confident women appreciate reassurance from the man they are with, not exaggerated compliments, not empty words, but genuine appreciation, simple words that communicate admiration, respect, desire. When a woman feels appreciated, her confidence grows, and when her confidence grows, her emotional openness grows as well. This is something many men underestimate. A woman who feels emotionally appreciated becomes far more expressive, far more affectionate, far more connected to the moment, because appreciation creates emotional safety. And emotional safety allows intimacy to deepen. Another mistake men sometimes make is misunderstanding vulnerability. Many men believe vulnerability is weakness. But in reality, vulnerability is one of the strongest forms of emotional connection. When two people allow themselves to be emotionally open with each other, trust begins to grow. And trust transforms intimacy. It removes tension, it removes pressure, it creates a space where both people can be fully themselves. When a woman feels the emotional openness from a man, she begins to trust him more deeply. And when trust exists, the connection becomes stronger than simple attraction. It becomes emotional closeness. Now let's talk about another subtle detail, energy. Every person carries a certain emotional energy. Some people feel calm and grounding, others feel tense or restless. A woman is extremely sensitive to emotional energy. She notices how a man makes her feel when she is near him. Does his presence make her feel relaxed? Does it make her feel safe? Does it make her feel appreciated? Or does it make her feel pressured, rushed, or uncomfortable? The energy a man carries can completely shape the experience. A calm presence creates comfort. A confident presence creates attraction. A warm presence creates emotional closeness. But tension, impatience, or emotional distance can weaken the moment. This is why emotional awareness matters so much. A man who understands his own energy can create a completely different atmosphere, an atmosphere where a woman feels comfortable enough to open her heart. Another powerful element of intimacy is curiosity. Curiosity keeps relationships alive. When a man remains curious about the woman he is with, he continues discovering new things about her, her thoughts, her preferences, her emotions, her dreams, and that curiosity keeps the connection fresh. But when curiosity disappears, relationships can begin to feel routine, predictable, less exciting. A woman feels deeply valued when a man remains curious about her, when he still wants to learn about her, even after spending time together. Because curiosity communicates something powerful. It says, you still interest me, you still intrigue me, you still matter to me. And when a woman feels that message, her emotional attraction grows stronger. There is another quiet truth many men overlook: respect. Respect is one of the deepest emotional needs a woman has in a relationship. Not just respect for her appearance, but respect for her thoughts, her feelings, her boundaries, her individuality. When a woman feels respected, her trust deepens. And when trust deepens, intimacy becomes far more meaningful. Without respect, attraction may still exist for a while, but emotional connection cannot truly grow. And that brings us to something many people forget. Intimacy is not just about closeness in one moment. It is about the emotional bond that forms between two people over time. Every conversation, every gesture, every moment of understanding, these things build the foundation of that bond. And when that foundation is strong, intimacy becomes something powerful, something lasting, something deeply fulfilling. But when that foundation is weak, even strong attraction cannot sustain the connection forever. There is one final idea I want you to reflect on. Connection is created through emotional awareness. Through patience, through genuine care. When a man learns to understand the emotional world of a woman, he begins to see intimacy differently, not as something to rush, not as something to control, but as something to nurture, something to grow slowly between two people. And when that understanding exists, intimacy becomes something rare, something unforgettable, something that goes far beyond physical closeness, because the deepest form of attraction is emotional connection, and very few men truly understand how to create it. But there is still something even deeper about female psychology that most men never learn. Something that explains why certain men naturally attract women while others struggle to maintain that connection. And that is exactly what we will explore next. Because when you understand the emotional triggers that shape female attraction, your entire perspective on relationships begins to change. He realizes that attraction is not created through force. It is not created through pressure, and it is certainly not created through rushing. Attraction grows in an atmosphere where a woman feels emotionally connected, where she feels understood, where she feels safe enough to express the deeper parts of herself. And this is where many men unknowingly make another mistake. They assume attraction is something that must always be intense, dramatic, overwhelming. But the truth is, the strongest attraction often grows quietly, through consistent emotional signals, through trust, through genuine connection. Think about the moments in life that feel the most meaningful. They are rarely rushed, they are rarely loud, they are usually calm, present, and deeply felt. The same principle applies to intimacy. When a moment is allowed to unfold naturally, it becomes far more powerful. A woman wants to feel that the connection between you is real, not forced, not mechanical, but genuine. She wants to feel that the man beside her is emotionally aware enough to understand what she needs. Because when a woman feels emotionally understood, her guard begins to fall, her mind relaxes, her heart opens, and her natural desire begins to grow. This is something very few men truly realize. The strongest form of attraction is emotional safety. When a woman feels emotionally safe with a man, she becomes far more expressive, more affectionate, more open. Not because she is trying to impress him, but because she feels comfortable being herself, and that comfort transforms the entire experience. The connection becomes deeper, more meaningful, more genuine. Now, there is something important every man should remember. Attraction is not just about creating a powerful moment. It is about creating a powerful emotional experience. An experience that stays in her memory long after the moment ends, because what women remember most is not simply what happened, it is how they felt. Did they feel appreciated? Did they feel valued? Did they feel emotionally connected? Or did the moment feel rushed, distant, incomplete? The answers to those questions shape how a woman experiences the relationship as a whole. And this is why emotional awareness matters so much. A man who understands the emotional side of attraction has an incredible advantage. He understands something many men never learn. That connection is built through small details, through presence, through patience, through genuine care. And when a man begins to practice this awareness, something remarkable happens. His relationships begin to change. Women begin to feel more comfortable around him, more relaxed, more emotionally connected, not because he is trying harder, but because he is understanding deeper. Understanding a woman's emotional world does not make a man weaker. It makes him more powerful, because emotional intelligence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can develop. It shows maturity, it shows awareness, it shows that he understands connection beyond the surface. And when a woman meets a man with that level of awareness, she notices the difference immediately. She feels the difference in the way he speaks, in the way he listens, in the way he carries himself. His presence feels calm instead of rushed, grounded instead of anxious, confident instead of uncertain, and that kind of presence creates something rare, something meaningful, something lasting, real emotional intimacy. Now imagine how different relationships could be if more men understood these simple truths, if more men realized that intimacy is not about speed, not about performance, not about pressure, but about connection, about creating a moment where two people feel emotionally close, where they feel appreciated, where they feel understood. When a man understands that, he stops trying to control the moment. Instead, he allows it to unfold naturally, and that natural connection becomes far more powerful than anything forced. Because at the end of the day, intimacy is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about being emotionally aware enough to create a space where both people feel valued. And when that happens, the experience becomes something truly unforgettable, a moment of genuine connection, a moment of emotional closeness, a moment where two people feel truly understood. And that is the kind of intimacy that leaves a lasting impression, because real connection is rare, but when it exists, it changes everything. So if you truly want to deepen your relationships, start by developing emotional awareness. Learn to understand the psychology behind attraction. Learn to notice the emotional signals women respond to. Learn to slow down and appreciate the moments that build real connection, because the men who understand these things stand out in ways others never do. And the women in their lives feel that difference, not just physically, but emotionally. And that is where true intimacy begins. Outro and call to action. If you found this insight valuable and want to understand female psychology, attraction, and relationships on a deeper level, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because here we explore the truths about attraction that most men are never taught, the subtle behaviors that influence connection, the psychology behind relationships, and the mindset that helps men become more confident, emotionally intelligent, and attractive. If this video helped you see relationships from a new perspective, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps this community grow and helps more people discover these important insights. And if you want to continue learning about female psychology and attraction, explore the other videos on this channel, because once you understand how connection truly works, you will never see relationships the same way again. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.